Today we're going to show you how to collect data with your smart card and your Sparkvue app. First thing you want to do is make sure the Bluetooth settings on your phone are turned on. Then you want to make sure the smart card is turned on. You should have a Sparkvue app that looks like this somewhere on your phone. Click on that button and you should see a screen that opens up, looks like this. Click on Sensor Data that's in the middle of the screen. In a moment, you should see one or more different smart cards pop up as options to connect. You can only see one here right now for me because there's only one turned on in the room. But when you're doing your lab, there might be 3 or 4 or even more of these that you can connect to. You want to make sure that you connect to the one that corresponds to the smart card that you're using. I'm going to click on that one right now. It's connecting. It might take a second. Sometimes it gives me an option to update firmware as well. You can choose to cancel that if you want. If you do update, it's not going to take very long. Now you see in the middle some measurements that you can take: position, velocity, acceleration, and so on. By default, position should be checked. That's the one you want to use, so don't change that. On the right-hand side, you see templates for displaying your data. You want to click Table and Graph in the top right-hand corner. Now you should see a blank table and a blank graph. At the bottom of that screen, you should see a green Start button. When I press that green Start button, it's going to start collecting data, but it does take about a half a second for the data to actually start collecting. So there's about a half a second delay. That means that you want to make sure you wait for about a half a second before you actually give your smart card a push. So I'm going to press Start now. When I do, you can see now the data is actually collecting. I'll give my smart card a push. Then I'll press Stop. You can see a nice straight line right in the middle of my data there. Before that, there's a horizontal line, and after that, there's a horizontal line as well. Those just represent the motion of the cart before and after I pushed it. So in other words, before I pushed it and after it stopped, after it hit the end and stopped. I'm going to delete that data a little bit later on, but we'll worry about that a little bit later on. Right now, I want to save this data to my Google Drive. So to save it to my Google Drive, I'm going to click the Share button in the top right-hand corner beside the Bluetooth button. It's going to give me an option to see the third button down, Share Data. Now, I want to select Google Drive. Make sure that you're in the right account. That's your school account. I'm going to select my folder, My Drive. Now I've got a folder called 1A. And the reason I've created that folder is just because it automatically sorts that first. That way I know where to find my data easily. You can put it in whatever folder you want as long as you can find it. I'm going to click on that button, click on that folder, click Save here, and then I'm going to upload. In a moment, my data should be in that folder. There it is. It's in that folder now. Now what I want to do is share that data with my partners. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive, go into my 1A folder. In a moment, you should be able to see exportitdata.csv save there. I'm going to click on those 3 buttons on the right-hand side. I'm going to click Share Data, or Share. Add people or groups. I'm actually going to share this with my student account. So student Dickie at isidore.redeemer.ca. And I'm going to send. Now, your partners should have a copy of this data now. Because you actually shared the original data, any changes that anybody make to that data is going to be reflected in everybody's copy. So what I want you and everybody else that you share the data with to do is to make a copy of this data. Nobody works off of the original file. You shared the original file, but nobody works from the original file. Nobody plots a graph or does anything else from that original file. You and everybody you shared that with should create a copy. And if we click on those 3 buttons on the right-hand side, you see an option to make a copy. Now you see copy of exportitdata.csv. That's the data you're going to do your work with. That's the data you're going to plot a graph with, and that's the data that you're going to use to insert into your lab write-up.